later.
Good morning and welcome, ladies and gents, to Breaking Kayfabe Episode 4. My name is Prophecy. The other potato on the far side of the screen is Hellbird ZA, and the man of the hour is Demonik ZA. Good morning, Demonik. How are you doing?
I am very well today, thank you.
Oh, well, I mean, guys, obviously Breaking Kayfabe is a series about the unknown people in South African esports. Obviously, Demonik, you'll have seen his name many places. You probably will have seen him on just about everything. I think, as I said earlier, the man is very much the Swiss Army knife for South African esports. He seems to. It's like when we need him, he's there. What doesn't matter what it is. CS:GO host, never done CS:GO. Richard's there. Dota caster, yep. Dota admin, yep. Interviewer, just about everything. Demonik, isn't that true?
Journalist?
Yeah,
Journalist
journalist is his official title.
Oh, write a bit, so yeah, I write a bit as well.
Yeah.
Good old esports journalist. We all like you very much. Don't write mean things about us, please. But yeah, can I just... I know you're safe, but like there are others out there lurking in the shadows. You know, those ones. Can I just say as well that whilst we are just giving Richard all the love in the world, that he's also probably the most, I don't know, underrated individual in our scene. I think that's a fair comment.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
It was quite okay.
I mean,
I'm not going to comment. You're talking about me.
Yeah, that's usually how it works. Just let other people shower praise upon you and just accept it.
Yeah, there you go.
But
and I do
I'll
mean
just
that. I
shine
think,
with radiant joy. That's what I'll do.
Okay.
I do think it's very true though. I think the SA esports needs you, buddy. And that's a loaded
on that
comment
note,
as well.
on that
Yeah,
note,
it is
let's...
a very loaded comment.
Okay, well, I mean, on that slightly loaded note, let's start at where you started, Richard. Obviously, I mean, you were well known in the Twilight days as the Dota admin, and not many people liked you. You usually tend to either ban them. One of the men that you tended to ban was Helbert on the other side there. So, how did you actually start in Dota or esports in general in South Africa?
It was sort of a conscious decision I had made in about 2005, 2006, I would say, because I was ending school at that stage. I was already an admin on the Warcraft 3 server and having to deal with a lot with other people's problems. And I decided there were two main teams at the time, one of which Devon belonged to, and the other of which being XPZ. And I decided that I wanted to get into XPZ. So I befriended all of them by playing random pubs with them. And then I happened to move to Cape Town in 2007 to start studying my degree in music. And it turned out that Sadie, one of the guys in XPZ, actually happened to live down the road from here, from where I stay. So then I managed to get to LAN with him, and I still wasn't in the team or anything, but I was at least playing Dota with these guys. And then they had some internal issues with their team, and I was eventually like begrudgingly let into the side after sort of my own. I had sort of made my own teams before, but nothing that serious. And they would only let me play an offlane warlock. I remember that, and we had to LAN. We landed it, and I practiced it against like Sven Lena and the old Dota 1 combos. And after that, after a couple of like lands, they eventually started to actually let me play. But then I only played like two heroes, I'd say, for like a year, which was Warlock and Twin-Headed Dragon, because they happened to be really strong in the Radiant Dire, what is now the Radiant Dire, but the Sentinel Scourge meta at the time, to throw some Dota 1 lingo. So I mean, and then after that, we sort of stayed. I stayed in that team for a long time. We eventually became easy in halfway through 2007. That was just after I joined the side. And then we were doing really well. We won an OC. What was at the time a GASA, which was a mix between the DGL and the MSSA, but the two have now split into their separate parties. But it initially existed as a single thing. We then got together and we won that against Gridlock, Rob, and Vettel, and Owned was the team. Well, they were actually Pantheon Gaming, I think, at the time. So one of the original South African MGOs. which had people that are still around to this day. Gridlock, Chase, the StarCraft player, was in that time. Was in that team. Scoper, the Overwatch caster and Overwatch player / Battlefield player, he was in that team as well. I forget who the other two were actually.
Was Radiator in that team? I feel like Radiator was in that team.
He definitely was at stages, but
right.
Can't remember who was playing for that specific side. Might have been Devon, Osiris, if you can go that far back. But
I know, because to me, Owned always had they had 3 notable players and then others. That's kind of how it was. It was just sort of
exactly.
I mean, it's probably because to be fair about Owned, I thought they were a little bit off the pace. To be perfectly honest, you guys got an easy final. So Owned players. So, you weren't a bad team by any means, but it wasn't the same as
10-year-old salt into the flames.
Kind of asking, hey, seriously, do you know what I realized? So do you remember the 4-4 strat? And there was that whole big event.
That's why I only played Warlock and Twin-Headed Dragon. Yeah, I remember very well.
Yeah, but so a little bit of Dota history for you is that there was what I think actually may be the first sort of promotional video for an esport in South Africa, certainly in Dota 1, right? Was that OC in March, right? And that is 10 years ago to the day. And there released some promotional video and whatnot about this matchup between the Titans, VVV versus, I think it was still XPZ at the time, VVV versus XPZ, and we as VV got stomped by Richard being XPZ in a very one-sided game, because as I recall
I joined the side after that OC, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, did you? Mm-hmm. Oh, we can Google the video.
Banish. You played against Banish, Styx, Cynic, Satan, Machine. XP.
No, I definitely remember Random Hero was against us, because it was in that whole drama where Random Hero
and Aeon and Rocco.
Yeah, I think Aeon was. I'm not sure. Aeon was definitely in that match. I can't remember which side it was, because there was a lot of interbreeding between those two sides.
That's a choice. That's a choice adjective to use there.
It was how it was, man. Everyone just you literally it kind of felt like if you wanted to, and for the record, Richard and I disagree on the history, but in my books, we won the majority of our matches against good old Easy. But effectively, it felt like if you wanted to be an Easy, you first had to go through VVV, and then you would inevitably become a traitor and go after the opponents. But hey, I'm spamming a lot, I just thought it was interesting that it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years since that day. It's actually pretty cool. So, I tell you what, if anyone's watching this and is keen, I'm ready to rumble, man. I think it's time to bring out some of these old dogs and have a go. And you and I have spoken about this a lot in the past. Maybe it's time to do it. 10-year anniversary.
Well, it depends,
10-year anniversary.
I think it depends on what everybody's doing these days. And you'd have to play Dota 1, would you not?
No, I think what would probably... No, we just got to play Dota 2, but we got to play it with only the heroes that were available during that patch of time, and the same laning thing. So it's Scourge versus Sentinel stuff going on.
No, I think I'll stick to my Dota 2 stuff. Like, I already have to deal with enough silliness when watching some games. But yeah, back to Demonik, the man who we're actually talking about. Yeah. So tell me, Richard. So obviously you'd now become a player and all the rest, and then what was the next step in the evolution? Because then you obviously transitioned into working for what is now the DGL as everything essentially. I mean, you started as a journalist, then you became I first knew you as a caster. You were a YouTuber as well. I think you still do sometimes YouTube reviews and all the rest.
Occasionally, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I first met you as a caster, but you've done admin. You obviously, anybody that's been to DGL as a player probably will recognize your face, because they're like, oh, that's the guy that does interviews with everyone. So, what was the next step? Yeah. Obviously, from player to DGL, everything essentially.
That was sort of just because to be honest, it was because I needed a job. But the other, I had finished my music degree and had sort of done a year of freelancing, and had tried to do sort of the esports thing. I was in the original Premier Division with my own team, KKNP, for the Dota 2 DGL, but we were pretty trash. I mean, we were like at the bottom of Premier. We got trashed by BBD like regularly.
And just about everybody did that, so that's not.
Yeah, so
it's not irregular.
Happened. We did okay, but the DTL were pretty solid for a while, and then they happened to have a journalist job, and they said, do you have a good background in esports? Do you know the players? And I said, hey, well, I mean, they had a whole list of things of sort of requirements for you to know, and I was like, hey, that's me. I know like all of that, and I was also casting a little bit at the time, so I said, hell, why the not? So I just happened to have a really good CV for that, and sent it in. And Gridlock, who was the editor at the time, Rob Clegg, who was also a big old name in the name of South African esports, he happened to be the editor at the time, and he luckily gave me a job, and then I've sort of been working for the DGL ever since in various capacities as they need me.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I first met you as a caster. It's a pity that you haven't been able to cast more, but obviously you've been required to do, like specifically at DGC. I know that you've always been the one that does just about every single interview there over 3 days, and by the Sunday it's just well known. Like, you stay away from the DGL people because they'll murder you with any sharp implement nearby after the amount of problems that you've had. But I mean, so you've obviously been to a massive number of events over the years. And what would you say are some of your favorite events that you've ever been to?
That's a tough question, actually. I would say one of the coolest things I mean, it's gonna be a little bit controversial to bring them up, but I was part of the 2008 South African Dota team for the MSSA, and they brought down SK Gaming, which was the best / second best Dota 2 team in the world at the time. That still have players playing to this day. I got to meet Loader, for example. He was one of the players at SK Gaming at the time. I'm not sure if Aki was there, but it was really huge names, and they came down, and we got to spend like an entire week with them. We went to Lion Parks. I saw Loader kiss a giraffe twice because they didn't get it on camera the first time. Just really, really weird things happened that week because they're also, as someone that has Swedish heritage in them, they sang the song of my people. So it was that was a really interesting week.
I was gonna say,
like general gaming events, I would have to say, like a non-esports event, I got to go to Gamescom in 2013, which was amazing because Melk happened to be managing Jaedong in the StarCraft tournament, the WCS StarCraft tournament that was happening there. And I saw him, and I went up to him, and we started chatting because I'd actually played him in Dota 1. We scrimmed against his team, MYM, a couple of times. And he actually remembered who I was, surprisingly, which I found. And we had a long chat about the sort of South African Dota scene, and while we were watching Jaedong play StarCraft. And then I walked around the corner and met Cinderin and Kiriki, which was also another. It was a good day. Let's put it that way.
It sounds like it.
And I met Zoe as well.
Jealous of Kiriki. Kiriki is my Rubik. I don't know. As Sean says, my Rubik spirit animal.
Yeah, he's good. I met Kiroki, I met Zoe, one of the hosts. She was hosting Hearthstone there at the time. So I just met some of the international sort of personalities involved with the Dota 2 scene and some of the good players. Well, that was Mouse Sports at the time because they happened to be doing a show match or something. That's why all those players were lurking around. It was just after TI3.
Yeah.
And so that as a gaming event was amazing because I had a day off, or I had a couple of hours before my flight, and I got to sit in this massive hall, and I had WCS on that side. I had the LOL European Championships on that side, and then there was like cosplay competitions, and there were just all sorts of these and I just stood in the middle and watched esports the entire day, which was incredible, like one of the most amazing experiences, and drink beer, which was an amazing day.
Esports and beer.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that one, friend.
People literally bring their chairs and like just sit in the middle of like this hall because the crowds, obviously you couldn't get into the actual like places. They were just jam packed with people. So that they could watch both things at the same time, which I found it so German. It's so amazing. But anyway, out of actual sort of tournament events, I would say I really enjoyed the Stir Kinnickor event last year. I think we had a lot of fun, me and Devin and you actually. Yeah. I think we had a lot of fun at that event. Besides the stress in the background, I think we did a good job, and that was good fun.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously,
I have to ask you a very important question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Did you watch Don't Breathe?
What a terrible movie! Hey, I was so disappointed.
Same. I watched it the other day. I was like,
really? We hyped that trailer up so much.
I think we were responsible for many people watching that stuff and just being like, "This cast is idiots." They're just idiots.
It's why people don't watch South African esports, because we told them to go watch a movie and it turned out to be cuck. Right? So...
I mean, to be fair, it was more like we were interested in the premise and we found the blind dude very terrifying and whatnot. But I mean, no, it just wasn't a good movie. It was just like shock value at some stages and then a lot of boredom.
Oh, I was so disappointed because I even watched it and I was like, okay, this movie better be good, man, because like we hyped this thing so much, and afterwards our content got all of our videos got copyrights. We fixed it since, but they all got copyrighted by Sony because they were like, "You're showing movie trailers on your YouTube videos." So because we showed that trailer, our video got taken down for a while. So then we had to go about getting it fixed. So it just wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose it's at least something for people to go and like have, it's like, what are they actually talking about, and go and have a look at the VODs again. Because
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose.
Can I say?
Yeah, go.
Go ahead. No, after you insist.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I suppose about the only disappointing thing personally for me about that event would have been the fact that White Rabbit Gaming just didn't seem to pitch in the final there. VVD just always seemed to have their number in that final, and it's like the event up to that point had been very, very good, and it just felt like White Rabbit.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, I think, right before they dropped.
It was before they dropped Doms.
Yeah. I think Doms retired 2-3 weeks later after that. So, I mean, obviously.
And that was right after that five match series where they won the first 2 against Bravado and then dropped 3. So I guess we were all sort of expecting something fairly impressive. So it was definitely a disappointing end to that tournament.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I mean,
they came, they came back later in the year.
Yeah, Masters happened.
Hashtag stories to be told, yo.
Indeed.
Yeah, I guess in that sort of, if you look at it like almost the long run, it actually made a pretty cool story. But to be perfectly honest, from that event, that was one of the events I had most fun with, just the personalities that we were working with. Where there was just like such a good crowd of people. It was fantastic. Like what an event. And also, we had Bad Luck Brody, and Bad Luck Brody makes every event funny. I mean, how long was he at the airport for, Richard? I mean, when he was supposed
to... or something? Oh, it was hilarious.
He was so angry when we arrived, just so angry. It was great.
He was on tilt. He was on tilt before we'd even started that event.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even on camera, which just made it so much better. It was Bad Luck Brody. I forgot about that.
And I think he was like, there's also something wrong with his sleeping accommodation as well, if I recall. Or I don't know if he was drunk
because he was sleeping next to me, and I was snoring like a demon because my voice was so hoarse and my vocal cords were just shot by the end of the day. So Richard would just go home and be like, just sitting there snoring his life out, and there's Bad Luck Brody sitting next to me, just going, why?
That, by the way, is an amazing thing about Shark as well. Like, everyone's always sort of, you generally get like bunked with people as it starts out. Everyone's sort of like, okay, so great, we're going to accommodate you. You'll be, sharing a spot. Will I really be sharing? Because I could really use my own space. Like, no, and you end up like everyone gets their own except for Brody and Richard, who it was great. He was just so angry the entire time, man.
I
like that kid.
I can't even blame him. Like, I generally ask for my own room because I know that when I'm tired, I snore like I am, like, absolutely sawing down that Amazon rainforest at a rate of knots. So it's I just feel bad for the other people because I wake up like a ray of sunshine. Here's Richard ready to go, and there's Brody just like, what did you try and eat in your sleep? Just like...
Do you remember? Because we bought the overly priced M&Ms at the following morning, and we were all horribly late and whatnot because we needed food or something like that, and it was all sorts of issues and whatnot. And Oh no, I remember because what happened was we got like two instructions. The one instruction was sort of, please be there at 7 a.m. and absolutely no later.
Oh, yeah.
And the other was like, yeah, you can come in around by 11. He was like, well, I think I know which one I'm going for. So I remember I remember just buying M&Ms. If we were all sort of like just fueling up and whatnot, and
there was a lot of Monster Energy drink. There was a lot of chocolates. There was a lot of M&Ms. There was
a lot of mad Brody. Anyways,
Yeah.
good times. Good times.
Okay, so
I really hope this isn't one, because if this was one that you had to be there things, and the three of us were, and we were having a great laugh, and it was just like, what are these fools babbling about? It was fun for us. It was fun for us.
It was. Yeah, we had great fun.
Anyways, sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, you've obviously we've been having these discussions, like funny moments. What's the funniest moment that you've ever experienced in a cast or at an event or as such?
Jeez, you're asking the tough questions today. The funniest moment. Oh. The funniest moments. I would have to say. I was on the panel. Yeah, I know. I said something on the panel that I really regretted at the DGC finals. I mean, not the DGC finals, the Masters finals last year. I think I was talking about a Magnus, and I insulted an entire Greek nation about the way that they pronounced their Dota heroes. And then I realized I was actually on a stage in a thing behind me, and I was like, you probably shouldn't have said that. Then Sargon, Chris, who was sitting next to me, loved it. He thought it was like the best thing he's ever heard. So I was quietly dying inside, but also just trying not to cry with laughter during most of that panel. I was also wearing a shirt that said "I porn noobs" on it, which is a pure porn shirt, pure owned shirt, a Counter-Strike shirt. Because I didn't have, I wasn't expecting to be on the panel, so I wasn't really prepared with, everyone's in this formal noob and they formal attire, and there's Richard just going, "Upon noobs, mofos, what's up?"
Well, I suppose there certainly is worse that it could have happened.
I mean, we could have put a competitive esports organization's owner on the panel wearing said esports organization's shirt, right?
No comment.
No comment beyond that. Okay, so last question then, Richard. Plans for 2017. Where do we expect to see Demonik at the end of 2017? You going to be a caster, or you going to keep treading the same path that you have for the last, what is it now, 5-6 years?
Richard's changing things up at the moment, so may not be involved overtly with esports in the near future, depending on what's happening. I recently, while hosting events and being a journalist, I also happened to get a postgraduate diploma in business project management.
Sure.
Because I felt like after the sort of what we had to do behind the scenes last year when organizing our DGL events, I felt like it was something that I needed to become knowledgeable in, for lack of a better term. Like I felt like I didn't know enough about sort of event management and that kind of thing. So I went about and learned more essentially. So I'm trying to branch out in sort of that direction. We'll see where the winds take me. I would love to cast. I'm a nerd at heart, so I love to cast Dota. I always tell Devin that we should cast more games, but then we never do.
I know, right? I'm super keen, and then nothing happens.
But I dabble with. So there is some Dota casting. Hopefully, if things work out, I'll be casting a lot more as the year goes on, and different tournaments as well. So that will be an interesting progression in my future. Just because one day I hope that in all these interviews and things of people having of SA esports personality of late, I hope one day that I actually get mentioned, because they always talk about Devin, because Devin's famous.
He thinks he's famous
to me.
He pays a lot of people a lot of money to just name drop him on occasion, especially on Facebook.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Just basically like act streams, and the one he did, I was just basically just as many times as possible. Yeah, just remind people I'm out there.
Yeah, I mean, because having played sort of competitive Dota for 10 years, I like to hope at least that I know a little bit of what I'm talking about by this stage. I mean, if I don't, then it's definitely time for me just to leave. I think, But having
No,
having
no,
played,
it's not.
like,
You stay right
analyzed
where you are.
having
You're not
played
allowed
and
to leave.
analyzed at like a competitive level, even now when I still watch like professional Dota games, it's still out of habit. I still sort of analyze it as to try and, well, you're always trying to improve your own player as well, but you are trying to improve your understanding and knowledge of the game, why they do that, why they do this. I think that's it's something that's not that prevalent actually in South African casting, and I think it's somewhere that we can actually improve, where people just understand the game at a competitive level. I don't know, not to insult anyone, but that's
Oh, I
general
think
thoughts.
you've
But
insulted enough at this point.
Thanks
yeah,
to you,
I mean,
Donnie.
might as well. We're going in. We're going in. We're going in. So, but I mean, hopefully, yeah, I'll be casting other tournaments. I'll still be working as a journalist until for the foreseeable future. So you can catch me on telcomgaming.co.za, and I still make occasional YouTube videos. I just do my thing.
Just do
So
your thing.
I'll be around, I'm sure.
All right. Well, thanks very much, Richard. Demonic
I need
today?
to put my hand up. I have to put my hand up.
No.
There's one more thing.
No. No.
There's one more thing we have to ask Richard about. They legitimately do. This whole thing is about getting to know people, and I think the one thing we haven't touched on here that I'd love you just to share with people is just what is that other thing that you do that you're pretty good at.
The other thing that I do that I'm pretty good at.
Yeah.
So I happen to be a classical musician as well. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's kind of like an impressive badge to wear, So.
Oh, my French horn's not in my room actually. It's outside, but otherwise I would have shown it to you. But I play a classical French horn, which is what my first degree was at, which also allowed me to get really good at Dota 2 because we had a lot of spare time.
I can imagine.
And we. It's not the most intense. It's not the most intense degree. It quite a lot of time, but you had, in terms of practical subjects, there was a lot of playing and not so much studying, which was much easier to do. So that allowed me. That's when I got all the SA colors, and I was very competitive at the sort of the top of my game because I was, and also running an entire forum, Warcraft 3 forum at the time, and AP system because no one else was doing that. Just a shout out to those people that even remember that, and. So yeah, I've got a degree in classical music. I happen to play for a few orchestras, sort of ad hoc. I was last week. Last week I was in Bloemfontein playing for the Free State Symphony Orchestra. We did a concert there with Tchaikovsky's Fifth Symphony, which I played third horn for, and then I occasionally got to Namibia and play in their National Symphony Orchestra. And I've been a lecturer at music festivals in Namibia, the Swakopmund Musikwoche, which happens in December every year. Nice community music festival with everyone aged like 8 to 90. With people, with lecturers from all over the world, Germany, America, all over the show. So so I do that, and I dabble. I sing in choirs. I occasionally, on my YouTube channel, I've got a couple of songs where I sing a few things. So the music thing is something that I do as well, and it's actually really helped because when in vocal coaching, it's just something that is directly related to singing. And most big vocal coaches in America will teach you to sing and speak at the same time.
Yeah.
And when they talk about melody of voices going up and down while you say a sentence and that kind of thing, it actually really helped a lot when it came to casting. And it's something that I've been wanting to depart, sort of knowledge that I've been wanting to depart to people. And if anyone ever has questions about that kind of thing, please don't be afraid to come and ask me. Like, if you want to improve your breathing, or you feel like people have told you that you're not that interesting to listen to, there are things, and they are amazing, like such simple things that you can do to improve that. So I think that's really helped me. So both of them are niche. It's niche professions.
Fair enough.
So I'm I like to keep things varied.
Nice.
Well, on that note, guys.
Does that answer your question, Evan? Yeah.
It was great. I'm glad you shared that with everyone. So I gotta say I'm quite impressed. But you did leave out one of my favorite points though. I'm gonna mess this up, but something about natural vibrate. So I don't know. What was that thing called? You were explaining to me something about the way that you play the French horn that's slightly different. The reverb or something. Was that what you called it? No. Never mind, shortcut.
I think it's a conversation for another day, guys.
No. Yeah. Right. I'm drowning here. Just help me.
All right.
Letting you sink. Cheers, bye-bye.
On that note, cheers. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks very much to Demonik for the interview, and best of luck for it. Thanks.
No problem.